Just 4 short months ago, hopes were running high in the Middle East. ISIS was wiped off the map. The Iranian regime and its terrorist proxies were in retreat. Israel was forging historic peace deals with its neighbors. All along the way, the United States was instrumental in this progress. But in just a few months, the Biden administration has dashed those hopes with a policy of weakness and appeasement. The forces of terror are again on the march. Pillars of smoke and fire are rising from Tel Aviv and the holy city of Jerusalem. The assault on Israel by terrorist groups like Hamas and Palestinian Islamic Jihad is the latest and most concrete evidence yet that the Middle East is spiraling toward chaos. But instead of standing firm with Israel, the Biden administration's policy of endless accommodation is fanning the flames of conflict. The president should show strength. Instead, he's broadcasting indecision and weakness. Our greatest ally in the Middle East is under attack, yet the Democratic Party refuses to say we stand with Israel. The night sky over the Jewish state blazes with the starbursts of intercepted rockets, and the Biden administration only offers muted calls for restraint. Where are the righteous denunciations of the terrorists responsible for these repeated, premeditated, and unprovoked attacks? Where are the statements of solidarity with Israel? Please. From this administration? From this Democratic Party? We can't even get the president's spokeswoman to say that the United States would help resupply munitions for Iron Dome, Israel's life-saving missile defense system. So this afternoon, let me provide a little clarity that the president and his party appear incapable or unwilling to articulate. The fault for the death and destruction in the streets of Tel Aviv, Jerusalem, Gaza, and the West Bank lies not with the Israeli government, much less with the Israeli people. The belligerents in this conflict aren't morally equivalent, the way it's often presented in supposedly enlightened circles. Put simply, there are good guys and there are bad guys. Israel seeks peace. Terror groups seek death and destruction. Hamas and Palestinian Islamic Jihad are not legitimate state actors. They don't speak for the Palestinian people and don't truly care about them. These groups are terrorist organizations run by evil men who commit evil acts in pursuit of the evil dreams of an evil ideology. They purposely fire waves of unguided rockets at civilian targets while they protect themselves from reprisal using babies, hospitals, schools, and dupes in the media as shields. What cowards, attacking innocent civilians while they hide behind women. Of course, Hamas and the Islamic Jihad don't act alone. The Palestinian Authority supports, encourages, and funds terrorism in the form of so-called martyr payments, pensions paid to terrorists who attack Jews. The PA perpetuates cycles of violence by refusing to acknowledge the existence of Israel, teaching anti-Semitism in its schools, and leaving its people to wallow in poverty as wards of the international community. And we all know who funds and arms Palestinian terrorist organizations, the world's foremost supporter of terrorism, the Islamic Republic of Iran. For decades, Iran's theocrats have staged demonstrations where their fanatical supporters scream, "Death to America," and "Death to Israel." The assault on Israel today shows that those chants are not idle threats. Iran's Ayatollahs are deadly serious about wiping the Jewish state off the map. That's why Iran arms Palestinian terrorists with some of its most lethal weapons. Hamas's arsenal of 10,000 rockets might as well have "Made in Iran" stamped on the side. Those are the villains of this conflict, but let's not forget the heroes. Standing courageously against this organized onslaught is the State of Israel, our closest ally in the region. Over the past week, terrorists have fired approximately 3,000 missiles and rockets into Israel. In response, Israel has defended itself with technological miracles like Iron Dome. It has carried out precision airstrikes against military targets. And as always, Israel has gone to extraordinary lengths to minimize civilian casualties, despite the terrorists' best efforts to maximize and then publicize any carnage. While Hamas and the Islamic Jihad fire indiscriminately from Palestinian schools, office buildings, and apartments, Israel responds by hitting those launch sites, but only after they warn civilians, allowing them to evacuate first. Regrettably, these warnings also allow the terrorists to escape. But Israel bears that cost because it values innocent life, unlike its terrorist enemies.